say you came from this small village and you moved from Brazil to St Albans when you went to play for Arsenal. What do you think is difficult for a player? Well, for you then, moving and relocating, and then do you think that's changed nowadays for players who move from one country to another?
When I came to Arsenal, the good thing I was not very young. I was 25 years old. You are an adult. I was an adult, and then the I think the toughest situation for me was just about the language. Was a kind of barrier for me, but I enjoyed that. To face a new challenge. It was a new challenge in my life. And even though I went to England as a World Cup winner, for me it was like start from zero, because I was play in a different club, come to a different country. I need to learn from everyone. I need to be open to learn and to absorb the culture, to absorb the football mentality, learn with the foreign players to the English players. And the good thing for me was to have Edu there.
Okay.
Edu helped me a lot. He was like my big brother. And then, it was just for me about going for training and then learn the language. And I learned the language quite fast, to be sure, for somebody who never spoke English before.
Yeah, you do okay.
I was okay. I didn't get lost. Sometimes my GPS complicate me, but it was fine.
So in terms of Arsenal, obviously we have to talk about it. You're an invincible. 38 games unbeaten for the league. 32 of those games you played in. Went on a 49 game unbeaten run. Like, when did you know? When did you have that feeling that like you're gonna do this? We're gonna like win the league.
Well, the only thing we had in mind with that team is about to enjoy the games, about to win the games and get the 3 points. I have fun in the games because during the week we trained very hard. We were very demanded by Arsene and Boro Primorac, Pat Rice, but we demand from ourselves as well because if somebody was not training properly, somebody, come on, you have to work hard, my friend. And this was the spirit of that group. And I remember many times Jens Lehmann shouted at the back, "Hey, come on, you had to do more, had to run more," to everybody, because he knew, and everyone knew, in the game was going to be hard. When you are in the Premier League, you have to be ready for the challenge because different from nowadays, from my perception, is that when I was there, the football was more long ball, lot of contact, in the air. I suffered a lot in the first few games, but then you have to be ready for the challenge. But the only thing we had to have we had in mind was that we want to win the games. But when we became champions before 4 games in hand was a tough challenge to keep the focus, to keep our focus to finish the league without losing any game. But Arsene was really important for us, and we spoke to between us about what could we make uh, if we win the league unbeaten. We could do something that maybe nobody have done before on that way in the Premier League. I know that in the past, I don't remember the name of the club, who won the league and without losing a
Preston North
game.
End.
Yeah, Preston. Thank you very much.
That's
But
okay.
it was on a different occasion. But in the Premier League, we would be the first, and was challenging. We were close to lose some of the games. The last game was very tough, but we managed that. And then in the after in the next season we managed to win a couple of more games until we lose to Manchester United. But
Yeah,
what's amazing what we have done is something very special. You make history, you become part of the history.
yeah, it's fantastic. I just, yeah, it's still mind blowing now looking back at that. Do you remember how you celebrated?
Starting we started our celebration at White Hart Lane when we knew that we became champion 4 games in hand. We had a very good celebration inside the field, but then uh, the stewards told us to go inside because some of Tottenham fans were not so happy. And for security reason, we went inside the dressing room and had a good celebration. But yeah, I think everyone enjoyed that moment. Had a good celebration. I don't remember now if we went to a party. I think we had a party, all the
Were
team
you given
together.
anything? When Leicester won the league with Ranieri, I remember they were all given a brand new car. Like, were you given
Oh
anything back then? In
no, I didn't have
2003,
any. I
wasn't it?
didn't have any car. I'm jealous now. It's the spirit of the team was fantastic because honestly, in many occasions, I knew that before the game started, we were going to win the games because the way the opponents looked at us at the tunnel, at Highbury especially, very narrow tunnel, cold tunnel, and we were ready for every battle. We were ready for everyone.
I love how you call it a battle as well.
Yeah, and in the field you have a battle. It's not because they are my enemies, but they were my opponents, and my intention as them was to win the game. You know, then you have to play your cards. If you have the right one, you can make the difference. And
Yeah.
but as I told you before, our preparation was very important because if you see the way we prepare, we it's like a game at the weekend. Tackles fire on. It's like
Everybody
this.
ready. Well,
Everyone
these
ready.
battles, there are obviously some battles bigger than others. Some might say the North London Derby being a huge battle, and you were saying there at White Hart Lane, obviously the Tottenham fans not being particularly happy at you guys celebrating there. Do you think that the North London Derby now is still as important to people as it was back then? And do you think it makes a difference if you're a domestic player or an overseas player?
Well, on that time, play against Tottenham was very tough. I remember that. Also, against Manchester United was a big battle. Also, I remember some some occasion we went to Manchester. There was a situation. In the year we won unbeaten, where when Nistelrooy missed the penalty.
Yeah.
After that, we have like some arguments and some players, and there was another occasion where some pizzas fly over some heads in the tunnel, but after the game. But I believe, especially for the fans, the derby is still very important because it's part of the tradition. And as long there is no violence outside the stadium, as long there's no violence inside the pitch, everyone fight hard to win the games, and with fair play, who is the best deserves to win, or who play with more desire wins the game. I think this is what I love about it. But the rivalry, this part of football for many years, it's impossible to change. But it's important. I think the domestic players they are very important for to keep this tradition, to
Mm.
keep this mentality. I remember when I came to Arsenal, having in the dressing room Martin Keown, Sol Campbell, Ray Parlour, Ashley Cole, David Seaman. Wow, this for me was brilliant because I have to learn from them. I was not English, I had to learn from the English people. I was in that country. I have to respect that.
Hmm.
How come as a foreigner I arrive in that country and don't absorb from that culture? How cannot learn from them, listen to what they have to say to me? I love that, you know.
And is there an Invincibles WhatsApp group like your World Cup one, or does not one exist yet?
Not yet. I think it's time to set up one.
Yeah, who would be
Good
the leader
idea.
for that? Who would set it up?
I think Martin Keown would be interesting. Him, Jens Lehmann. I'm sure Jens Lehmann is more relaxed now. He will not shout to anyone, even Martin Keown, because I remember many times when I play with Martin Keown, all the time he called me, Gilberto, drop, come back, drop back, drop back. And sometimes I still dream with Martin Keown in the back of my mind. Martin Keown is still there shouting, Gilberto, come back, drop, close, push.
It sounds like Martin Keown definitely left a mark with you.
Oh, he's a lovely guy. I love Martin. He's a lovely guy. He's a fantastic person. It's
Um,
he was very important to keep everyone sharp, their mind, because in that season he didn't play many games, but in the dressing room he was a leader, a real leader, a real character that helped, the all of us a lot.